What do you get when you cross 2,000 crypto geeks with Las Vegas? Well, we don't have a good punchline, but I guarantee it looks a little something like us coming to you live from World CryptoCon 2019. That was good.
Nice.
That was good. Today we welcome William Quigley of Wax to the show. We'll discover the future of digital assets and utility tokens. And then we've got a panel of luminaries.
Luminaries?
Luminaries. Ooh. Not the luminaires.
Okay, that's
Hey.
different. Hey, ho.
Ho. They're going to discuss the hot topics of the day, and the luminaries include Dr. Mihalu Uliru, I think I pronounced that right, and Maxine Ryan. And we've also got a non-luminary, but a staple at crypto events, Mr. Kenn Bosak. You're going to learn about the baddest crypto on the face of the earth, and there won't even be a mention of Craig Wright. Oops, too late. Did it. Well, regardless, we're live, you're live, and the show's being recorded, so living people can listen to the show later if they're alive. It's the World CryptoCon 2019 live episode number 330 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Who's bad?
Where we dance.
And welcome to the Bad Crypto Podcast, live on stage at World CryptoCon 2019. And we have a bottle of Drumheller Cabernet swiped directly from the speaker's room. Now, I don't think I've ever had a drink on stage before, Mr. Travis, right?
This show is sponsored by free drinks in the speaker's room.
Would you like some wine?
Oh, no, thank you.
You'll have a little wine?
Nope.
Yes, you will.
I don't want any
Because
wine.
we're going to cheers.
Look at me wasting all the wine.
We're just going to do a quick cheers here.
Good.
Here we go to World CryptoCon, and to all y'all here, thank you. We
Sure.
may fade the music. We'll take a drink.
Here's to you, here's to me. If we ever disagree, F you, here's to me. I love that.
Excellent. It is the Bad Crypto Podcast.
That's true.
Episode number 330. It is actually, what day is it? Wednesday? Wednesday, the 30th of October.
Yes, and you know what? There's some juxtaposition here, Mr. Joe Comm. This is episode 330.
Oh.
And then look at this over here, episode 130.
Oh, that's when Vezza
Yeah,
was on the show.
200 episodes ago, the one and only Mr. Vessa here, right here. He's a great artist. He's got all his art back there. Yeah, that was 200 episodes ago.
Did you say he was a great farter?
I don't know if he is or not. He might be.
A fartist?
He's a fartist. That's you. You're the creator of the iFart app. Did you know Mr. Joel Comm created the iFart app?
That is true. We are the podcast for the crypto curious, the crypto serious, and the crypto conferencist people. And we are brought to you by
By Warren Whitlock.
No, Warren.
Oh, Warren Whitlock right there. I see it. Very nice.
Warren is not the sponsor of the show. He is the heckler in chief in the back of the room, famous for his halfies. No. eToro is our sponsor, and they've got over 11 million users around the world. Now they're in the United States of America. And how does $25 in free Bitcoin sign for new accounts? Who wants 25 bucks in free Bitcoin? Yeah, you do. They just launched their copy trader feature. So now you can go in and follow other traders and check out their portfolios. Like you can look up Cornholio's portfolio.
Oh my gosh.
And if they're like doing really well with their trades, you could just say, I'll have what they're having, and just copy their portfolio directly. So whatever amount of money, it's a great feature.
Yeah, and actually we worked out a special deal with eToro. We're the only ones in the world, I believe, that are offering this.
The only ones in the world, it is true.
$25 worth of free Bitcoin. You sign up, deposit 50 bucks into your account, buy some cryptos, validate that, and we send you $25 worth of free Bitcoin. Literally, not a shit coin. No, it's not bad coin.
Nope, that's a different coin. We're talking about Bitcoin. So make sure you go to this URL, badco.in/eToro, badco.in/eToro for your $25 in Bitcoin. Mr. Travis Wright, we have a repeat guest from a previous episode of Bad Crypto. We like what he's doing.
That's
I
true.
do. I don't know if you do or not.
Well, you're a big gamer, so you love the gaming. He's the big fan of gaming. I've always been of the thought that, you know what? There was a pivotal moment in my life where I was spending way too much time playing video games.
Yep.
And then I said, no more. And I spent all my time to learning and developing and whatnot. So
Are you a fan of candles?
I'm a fan of candles.
Because candles are made of wax.
That's true.
And with us today for a repeat performance, we have William Quigley, the CEO, founder, chief cook, and bottle washer.
Co-founder. Yep.
Co-founder. Yeah, I don't want to short your co-founder, but he's not here, so to him.
Wait, Craig Wright's not here?
Oh!
We're not going to
ding,
mention
ding.
Craig Wright again, okay,
That's
guys?
2. Yeah,
We're
that's
talking about my uncle negatively.
That's 3.
He owes me Bitcoin.
He owes a lot of Bitcoin. Wax, the safest, most convenient way to create, buy, sell, trade virtual items to anyone, anywhere in the world. Full suite of blockchain tools. Yep. You got a worldwide asset exchange with all kinds of stuff for traders, buyers, sellers, creators, gamers, merchants, D-app creators, and game developers. William, welcome back to Bad Crypto.
Well, I had a great time last time, guys, so I'm glad to be here.
Did you
Very
miss
good.
us?
No.
Not at all?
Little.
A little.
Little.
That's good.
Right.
I'm good with a little
You missed
bit.
us very much, we know.
Why don't you, we talked about wax at great extent on the last episode we do,
Yep.
but go ahead and elevator speech us really quickly on what wax is.
Sure, so...
That's too long.
Yep.
Can you do it quicker?
2 words.
It good.
We were using... So my partners and I have been trading video game virtual items. All the little virtual items you see, the avatars and whatnot, for about 20 years. In fact, my partner's the guy who invented the concept of trading a video game virtual item for cash, for what we now call fiat, but no one used that word back then.
Dirty fiat.
Dirty fiat. So, and that was a great business. While these little virtual items had utility value, they allowed you to do stuff in the game. Then something called skins came along. Some of you guys have heard of skins. Mm-hmm. Skins have no utility value in the game. They're just cosmetic.
I have great utility from my skin. It covers up all the nasty parts.
And if you own skins of many different virtual items in different video games, those can be worth a lot of money. People like to trade them. So we were using a marketplace, what we now call a centralized marketplace. Never used that word before,
True.
Right? But we were using a centralized marketplace and ultimately realized, you know what? There are elements of a blockchain that make sense for us to use as a trading mechanism. Of course, we had been big investors in the Ethereum ICO. We were big believers in Ethereum, so we launched initially with Ethereum. But Ethereum, while it's good for many things, the proof of work consensus mechanism makes it impractical for small dollar rapid trading. It just doesn't work. The delays are too long and the cost is too high. So our thought was we need something that can allow a settlement in a half a second to a second, maybe 2 seconds, and do at least several hundred transactions a second. And of course, that meant Ethereum was out. It does nothing per second. I know people say it does 5 to 7 transactions a second, but I don't really think that's true. It's more like 2 minutes. So nonetheless, we had nothing else, so we used it, learned a fair amount about it, but we were hell-bent on getting wax out. And then in June of last year, there was a major problem with Ethereum, it going from a few minutes for transactions to settle to 17 hours. And, no, it was not CryptoKitties.
It wasn't the
kitties?
kitties?
It was another business so appropriately named F-Coin. F-Coin was some Chinese exchange that decided if you send us as many minor amounts of Ethereum as you can, from as many unique Ethereum addresses as you can, you'll win. Well, it caused the Ethereum network to basically...
It literally effed the blockchain.
Yeah, it effed up the... So, but that's the risk of a proof-of-work chain that uses surge pricing to figure out how you clear transactions. So we actually launched Wax prematurely because we were going to go out of business unless we had a chain that would actually work. And I will give Dan Larimer a lot of credit for what he did with EOS, the delegated proof of stake mechanism. That is the core engine we use, and it's fast. It's easy to work on. So Wax uses that in order to get shit done fast and cheap.
I just want to say that elevator speech was for like the Burj Khalifa, right? That's a long way up on that elevator.
That's a big ass elevator. You had to get off on this one elevator to get on another elevator.
You know?
Yeah.
It happens.
I have a question around that. So I know my son, he loves Fortnite, right? And there's like the skins and the dances and all that stuff.
It's good.
Yeah, so my question is around those skins and the different things. Like, say, for example, you're trading one skin for another skin or whatever, you're buying somebody else's skin. Like, what's the transaction process within that game? Do you have to be API'd into that game to ensure that gets sent over? Or
Fortnite, like most other things, they cripple trading, right? You really can't trade most video game items.
Yeah.
They do that because of a mistaken belief that it's bad for their business. It's actually tremendously good for their business, but one thing video game companies don't generally do is innovate around business model. So having a great secondary market for your items in almost every case helps the primary market. You probably wouldn't buy a car if you could never sell the car, right?
Right.
But video games aren't like that. So one reason why for video gaming, and we do more than just video gaming, but for video gaming, blockchains are great. You own the item. Remember, you never own the game or the item in a regular video game. They license it to you, which means they can take it anytime they want. That's one of the values of blockchain in gaming. So while Fortnite would be awesome to have on a blockchain, I'm not holding my breath.
Right.
Well, we actually got a press release recently that there is some company that is seeking to bring a Fortnite-like model to blockchain. I can't remember the name offhand, but
Like Lightning something?
Lightning something or other. Anyway, we'll look into it. But during the ICO craze, we saw a ton of utility tokens, right? And then there's, we saw the crash. Everybody cry a little bit. My shitcoins aren't worth anything. Mine either. So there's problems with the whole utility token model, but Binance is doing some interesting things to bring value back to them. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. You are right. There are problems with the utility token model. It's an amazing thing when you ask people to describe what that model is. After about 20 minutes, they usually just give up. So it's an amazing thing. But certainly Binance has done something different. Binance is saying, hey, I'm going to give you that coveted dividends, but we won't call it dividends. Well, in fact, they give you nothing, right? What they do, though, is they take 20% of their profits, as defined by them, because it's not transparent, but they take 20% of their profits and they buy, they don't really buy, but we'll say they do, they buy a bunch of their tokens in the open market and they burn them. So they shrink the supply of their tokens, which theoretically, you would think, well, smaller supply, same demand, price should go up. And I tip my hat to them. I think they've done a great job of adding an element of value that was not around a couple of years ago. People seem to like it. Now, whether that is the principal reason Binance is now a top 10 token, or it's because you can also use their token to get discounted fees on their exchange, that's pretty cool too. So I would say Binance is innovating in this area, but I'll also say 2020, this stuff's changing.
It's going to change.
Utility token model is changing.
So what is the future of the utility tokens? How is it going to change?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I am seeing lots and lots of new ideas, brilliant ideas that in 2020, I'll let you guys know when some of these projects start to launch, but
You'll let us know after it happens?
Of course.
That's such a good, that's great future. That's great futurist, man.
Maybe give us an example of something that really you've seen that is exciting to you personally that, you're not vested in. Just
okay, let's take a frickin' easy one. And I'll even give a shout out to Ethereum, right? MakerDAO, right? So my partners and I created something called Tether, which we didn't call it a stable coin at the time, but that's what it's now called. But it's the first stable coin. And by the way, the worst human being on earth to be our spokesperson is Mark Zuckerberg, who did the shittiest job on earth. You cannot possibly mention a stable coin in anything but a positive light, unless you're Mark Zuckerberg. He did a terrible job. So But anyway, MakerDAO is a type of stablecoin. I'm sure lots of your people know of it. And MakerDAO has innovated on Tether. So you can use MakerDAO to earn interest on your stablecoins in a very clever way, on chain. I would say of the projects I've seen in the last 4 years that I haven't worked on, they're the most innovative. There's that ability to earn, and usually you have to do something incremental for people to kind of be willing to accept it. It can't be so far out there. Like Tether took over a year for people to understand, as simple as it seems.
Right.
Hey, we're just tokenizing US dollar. The first criticism I would get was, but the dollar's already digitized. Why do you need to do that? It already moves at the speed of light. No, it moves at the speed of a donkey. You can't actually, it's trapped in all these little ecosystems. But, it took a year.
A lot of people with Tether, they were saying, well, Tether's being created out of thin air, it looks like, and now they're just putting some Tether in and so there were some people that...
Well, one problem with Tether that MakerDAO does not have a problem with, and I would say you're right, is Tether was not transparent. Now, that's the problem with off-chain aspects of what you're doing. You can't be transparent with bank accounts. Right? So I would say, though, to answer your question, yeah, MakerDAO is... I would put them even above Binance at this point.
Really?
In terms of innovative twists on utility tokens.
Very good. I want to. So you were just talking shit on Zuckerberg a minute ago, and that thing just happened just a couple of days ago.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's dive into that. There's probably some people who haven't heard the testimony, right? I saw the original Zuckerberg one when he was talking about the internet, and the first one that he talked. This is the second time he's been there, and why was it such a shit show?
Yeah. So why was it a shit show? So first, the guy has a tough job, and I can't imagine.
Is he a robot? You think he's a robot?
Well,
is he an alien?
All I'll say is, if you were trying to answer questions by that rogues gallery of characters, it would be hard for anybody to do it, right? Because every question is coming with a hidden agenda, right? So,
and
there's
like
some of
they
the dumbest
know,
questions, too.
like they know what they're talking about.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, with that aside, though, it was terrible from my vantage point, because I know that stable coins are gifts to humanity. That if you can't extol the virtues of a stablecoin, then you wouldn't be able to sell me on why higher education, why penicillin, why running water is a positive. I mean, stablecoins are that good. There is nothing not to like about them. And when you think of who stablecoins are going after, which is big bad banks taking shit tons of money from currency conversion, you ask yourself, how could Mark Zuckerberg not have argued in front of Congress that, wait a minute, this is a value transfer from all these big bad banks and other financial institutions that tax us $1 trillion a year in currency conversion. $1 trillion a year. How he could not have promoted that. But I think what happened was, it's not a project near and dear to him, Libra.
Yeah.
He probably got a series of talking points the day before, and he just couldn't
David
do
Marcus
it.
probably would have been a better guy to have there.
Yeah, but even David Marcus, you're right, he would have been much better. But I've noticed this. If you do not understand and appreciate and love something at a core level, you cannot come across as authentic. And neither David Marcus nor Mark Zuckerberg, I felt really appreciated how great a stablecoin is.
So what's going to happen with Libra? What's your crystal ball say? Is it going to be able to proceed and make any kind of, is it going to be huge? Is it just going to make a little dent, or is it going to crash and burn?
Well, if we're making, wild ass predictions, I'll say this.
That's all we do here.
I don't think it's likely to move forward. And I say that, and by the way, if I'm wrong, I'll be very happy. But I say that because of a comment Zuckerberg made as he was leaving, which really annoyed me. He said, we'll be sure to not do anything until we get permission from Congress. Holy fuck. Congress doesn't give you permission. That's not how our world
is America.
works.
Right.
This is America.
They work for us.
There's laws. You don't go and ask there's regulating agencies that will decide if this is going to happen. So he said it in a way that I thought, well, it must be. I actually thought it must be. He doesn't want it to go forward. And so he was setting it up. They never gave me permission. Sorry. So as good as a stable coin is, and as great as I think Libra coin would have been, I think its chances are very, very low.
Let me ask you this, because I think the stablecoin stuff is really interesting, and Joel and I have had many conversations around stablecoins, specifically around, why not gold as one? And there's been some companies that have trying to do, based off of some of these precious metals, because here it is, we're based a stable coin off of $1, which we've seen over the last 100 years has gone, right? And a lot of gold is paper gold, right? And so it's not actual physical because of the way the markets have been manipulated. Is there a chance for there to be a real solid, legit, gold-backed stable coin of some sort?
There's a guy in federal prison you can talk to about that. I'm laughing because, somebody tried to do that years ago, prior to blockchain.
Oh, yeah, the Liberty thing, right?
Liberty coin, Liberty Media,
I remember
metal, and that the government didn't like that. So could you do it today? Of course you could do it today as long as the CFTC, says okay. I personally am not so interested in the commodities-related stuff. I'm more interested in currency because that's what consumers like to use. But you're right, you could clearly do that.
Well, there's people talking about going back to the gold standard, and that doesn't seem like it would work. Maybe gold-backed digital currencies or something could be more applicable because it's literally if it was backed by something.
Yeah, I assume there is a market for that. Yeah. It's not one I'm interested in, and I think most people, we want something that is a common and easy to use medium of exchange. Gold ain't that, right? Okay. It's a store of value.
That's a quote right there. Gold ain't that. I just want to put that on an image of Instagram.
Okay.
It ain't all that.
You have Congress's permission.
I have. That's great. I need Maxine Waters to tell me what I can and can't do. That's for sure. Clean up your district, Maxine. Meanwhile, as we close out here, William, why don't you kind of give us
elevator pitch,
a preview of coming attractions for Wax in 2020.
So Wax has been launched. We did the ERC20 to Wax native token. The blockchain's been out since September, and we're building out something called the service layer so that people can actually use the blockchain. It's very hard to use blockchains if you're a regular human. So people can log in with their social media accounts, Facebook or whatever. That's necessary. Our focus is very much on making it easier for people to use the blockchain, right? And MetaMask and Scatter and these other digital wallets, I think, are hard to get the mass market to adopt. And then we will be using and creating a lot of ways for people to take these assets that they have and use elements of DeFi, decentralized finance, to get value out of them. And that is, by the way, next to the ICO craze, that did a ton to elevate people's awareness of what crypto could do. I would say DeFi is as big of a trend, probably bigger in the long term. And now you have to go down the rabbit hole to figure out what DeFi is. Today, DeFi is not D, it's just Fi. There is no decentralized finance, but it's getting there. It will be decentralized at some point. I think it's the most exciting area of blockchain. So call it the next 2 or 3 years. This will be where lots of things are done. And blockchain people have a tendency to look outward and say, oh, is everybody else adopting it? Internet, we didn't do that. Everybody was like, we don't care if Walmart doesn't come on. Amazon's like, we'll do fine. PayPal didn't care if JP Morgan came on. So it was like, serve the interests of the people on the inside. I'm starting to see that with DeFi. We're starting to say, you know what? Fine, don't come and join our party. But those who are having our party, here's a bunch of goodies. And I think it's the first real on-chain value-creating mechanism that is going to cause a lot of people on the fence to say, now that looks interesting.
Very good. And you have a show. You have a show also called Wax On.
I do.
Yeah, it's a great show. You can keep up with.
Thank you. In fact, I did a video about Mark Zuckerberg. Again, I don't want to pick on him per se, but it's like,
no, pick on him. Here
is the value.
Right.
I think it was titled something like "What He Should Have Said" to them, the Congress people, to make them go, "Wow." You ever seen those memes where it's like two choices,
yeah,
both are bad,
yeah.
right? So it's like, kill off Facebook, punish all consumers globally, right? What do I want to do?
And the guy's sweating. Which button to push?
Right.
They're both bad.
So, yeah, I'm hoping someone can go to Congress and say, before you eliminate stablecoins and all the good things that blockchain does, here are a couple of use cases that you might start to think are great, like allowing people who don't have banks to buy stuff.
Very good.
Wax.io. William Quigley, give him a hand, please.
Yes. Wax on.
Wax
off.
And if you ever go to Australia, it's William Quigley Down Under, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, Quigley Down Under. That's great. I want to give a quick shout out to our other sponsor. They're actually here in the exhibit hall, Divvy. They are taking early signups for their new digital finance ecosystem to offer crypto debit cards, instant bank accounts, and fiat to crypto on and off ramps right in your walletto. In fact, they're getting ready to launch their wallet. And if you go to their website at wallet.divvyproject.org, enter your email. You'll be one of the first to see this. I've got a couple Divvy master nodes that are right now. They're running out there in the cloud, and they're making me Divvy every day.
That's so great.
I'm having Divvy for dinner,
Nice,
Divvy for
very
breakfast,
nice.
Divvy for lunch.
Yeah, and I want to also give a shout out to Brendan of MobiPay. There he is back there, MobiPay.io. Great company as well.
We just became advisors because we like what Brandon is doing so much. So you guys check out MobiPay.io. See, these are good projects, but there's some bad projects out there.
That is true.
One of those bad projects is something that was kind of your brainchild.
It was my shitcoin.
It was. Well, so when we started Bad Crypto, we thought, what if we had our own token that we could use to reward our listeners? And what are we going to call it? Well, we're going to call it Bad Coin. And we gave it away to listeners on the BitShares platform. And is worthless, but it gave them an opportunity to trade and use and store some worthless crypto. Yep. But then you had an idea. Ding! Ding.
The thought was, what if, because with Bitcoin mining, how Bitcoin mining is like an arms race? Like who has the biggest, baddest, most amazing, powerful computers are the ones who can mine Bitcoin? I said, what if we flip that funnel? And it was the people with the worst, most baddest computers were the ones that could mine the crypto. And so we actually partnered up with Marshall Long and his team and created a new version of Bad Coin that has 5 algorithms, and you can actually mine Bad Coin with like a MacBook Pro or MacBook Air.
I mine Bad Coin in this. We have hundreds of people around the world mining Bad Coin. You can learn how to do it now at badcoin.net. And it's pretty. Do we have any Bad Coin miners in here? What is going on back here?
There's a Bad Coin miner right
that
here.
That could be a Bad Coin miner.
He doesn't look like a miner. He looks over 21
He looks
to me.
like a major. It's Bad Coin. Give it up.
It's Baddie McGee.
Wow. Baddie. Wait, hold up, Baddie.
Hey, where's Bitcoin? Hey, get that Bitcoin guy over here. Hey, Bitcoin, we're going to have a battle royale.
It's on. It's on.
Get over here, Bitcoin.
So, Bad Coin, what makes you so bad?
I'm so bad because I can be generated with the worst technology.
That's good.
Wow.
Give that man a Bad
really
Coin.
Good. Very good.
By the way, this is my brother Michael, who's lost all credibility as a CPA. But give him a hand.
Yeah.
Get out of here. That's Baddie.
Yeah, and go over there and kick Bitcoin's ass.
Yeah.
Go over there.
he gets to wear that for
so
Cryptoween tomorrow, so you guys
nice.
make sure and get pictures and
Stay bad.
Tag it with Stay Bad.
Those of you listening to the podcast didn't get to see that, but we do probably have a picture in the show notes.
I'm sure we will have some video of that. And now it is time for our illustrious panel of luminaries, Mr. Travis Wright. And unfortunately, the Dr. M could not make it here, but playing the role of Dr. M, Dr. R.
Dr. R. Oh, yes.
Dr. R. Yeah, we have here today Mr. Blake Rizzo, attorney, esquire extraordinaire, one of the few in the blockchain world that actually knows what he's talking about.
And a returning guest.
And a returning guest. Give it up for Mr. Blake Rizzo.
Thank you.
Woo.
Very nice. And we got the one and only, would you say the non-luminary?
Yeah.
Hey, you missed this. This is what he said earlier on in the intro. He said, we have 2 luminaries and 1 non-luminary. What was it?
Right up here.
Oh, here it is. Oh, yes. But you're a staple at crypto events. The one and what? Crypto lifestyle entrepreneur. Kenn Bosak.
How goes it?
Yeah.
It's Kenn ETH.
Yeah, Kenn ETH Bosak.
Right. And we also have another returning guest here to Bad Crypto and to the World CryptoCon Bad Crypto live stage.
That is true.
She
I'm
was
back.
on stage. I'm back. She is back. She's here again last year. She's the COO and co-founder of BitSmart. Maxine Ryan, give her a hand.
Very good.
Excellent.
Bit Spark?
Yeah.
I think you said Bit Smart.
BitSpark.
Bit Spark.
It's right,
You're smart too.
it's right there in black and white.
It is
I can read.
BitSpark.
You got to get
Very
that
nice.
wax out of your
I do.
ears,
I
Mr.
really
Travis,
gotta keep
right? Yeah, William put all that wax in your ears.
true.
First question for Kenn. Just how stoned are you right now?
Scale of 1 to 10, like a solid 11.
These
I
go
mean, it's
to,
legal here.
these go to 11.
When in Vegas, by the way, they do have those dispensaries that are 24/7, which you're taking full advantage of.
Fully. Actually, though, I do want to shout out Planet 13. A couple of their employees do accept Bitcoin as tips. They have a couple Monarch wallets. I set up a couple wallets last time I went to the dispensary, and I gave a couple of them some crypto.
Yeah.
So if you go to a dispensary like Planet 13, offer your dispensary bud tender a Bitcoin tip.
Very nice.
Can I offer any of you some wine? Because we do have. Would you like some wine? You will have some.
You are such
I'm
a
always
gracious
good for a
host.
glass
Mr. Travis Wright, you
Is
may
there
ask
any weed in that wine?
There is no weed in this wine, but
I'm
you
good.
may ask the first question.
Very good. All right, so let's look at some questions here while you're pulling the wine. So there's some interesting stuff that happened this week, right, in China.
Always.
Interesting things. So China's central bank, they said they will certify 11 types of financial technology hardware and software that is widely used for digital payment and blockchain services with a new verification system called the Certification of FinTech Products. And so there's a list of different products and fintech. And then the president of China, is he called a president? He's not really kind of a president, but he's called a president. He said that, hey, China should seize the opportunity of blockchain. And then crypto skyrocketed as a result of that. We're like, whoa, crypto was down about 7,000 something, and then pow, it popped over 10,000. So what do you think, like long-term, the ramifications of China beginning to embrace blockchain at such a large level?
You know, I think that you can't really talk about China without talking about the U.S. And, you know, in the previous segment, the WAC CEO, he was saying that, you know, Libra coin that's being shut down by governments here. And I think that that is just such a shame. Because if you look at China and the progress that they're making with crypto, yes, it might be centralized, but they are adopting this shit. Whereas in the U.S., it's just so slow. So I kind of feel sorry for the U.S. at the moment when it comes to the rules and regulations, because in Asia, it's just like a free-for-all right now.
And then WeChat, they have payments sort of built into the technology, and we don't have that. Like we seems like we're behind.
You know what's crazy? They accept WeChat here. I was down at the bar, and there's WeChat Pay. How crazy is that?
Here at the Cosmo.
How crazy is that?
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
It's
super
like
crazy.
it's basically like the Asia influence, right, or China's influence. Like you're seeing cashless payments being made here that are centralized in China itself. And it's like I'm not even sure that they're like paying in USD. Maybe they're paying in CNY. Yeah, so it's pretty incredible to see.
That should be scaring Congress, right? I mean, that should
Yes.
be one of the things. Blake, I mean, you're an attorney and you're in the crypto space. Like, what are your thoughts on what's going on with China and blockchain and maybe some of the U.S. regulation stuff?
I agree wholeheartedly with Maxine. It is a shame. I actually spoke on that topic earlier today about the SEC really dragging their feet. You know, we've had many of opportunities to clarify things. All they've done is create more questions rather than answers. You know, when you have one of their own commissioners, Hester Pierce, Crypto Mom, basically calling them out and say, hey guys, you're letting the other nations run away with this. You're dragging your feet. It has to stop. And it's really unfortunate because I've talked to clients every day that want to do the right thing, but it's incredibly costly and it's burdensome. They've
It's
got a lot of
crazy.
legwork to do.
Right, we've got the SEC saying it's a security. We've got the CFTC saying it's a commodity. We've got the IRS saying it's property. I say it's awesome. I think I'm right. And so how, Travis has alluded to this so many times that innovation is saying, fine, we'll go to Malta, we'll go to Gibraltar, we'll go to the Bahamas, we'll go to the Bahuma.
We'll go to Bermuda.
That's a new place.
Sounds great.
Bahuba.
I wanna go.
The nation of Bahuba. They're Bermuda and the Bahamas, and they're going to Singapore, and they're going anywhere else to get this done. So, okay, buy all great innovation here in the
The next
US.
Silicon Valley will not be in America, and it's pretty much
Might not
guaranteed
even
at
be
this
in a
point.
valley.
Yeah, might not even be in a valley.
Could be at the bottom of the ocean.
Could be on an island. Probably will.
SpongeBob's going to have yeah.
I think the thing is with the U.S. is that it's not making any moves on regulation. So if you're going to regulate so that companies and entrepreneurs can start making moves in this industry. And I think that's what's happening in China is that the Chinese government is coming out with they're coming out with warnings. They haven't fully instated laws that affect cryptocurrency, but at least people kind of understand that there's a set of rules that they have to adhere to and continue with. Whereas in the U.S., there's just a standstill right now.
Yep. Well, what's happening right now, for lack of a better term, it's a moon race all over again, with what happened with Russia and us, whether we went to the moon or not, the Bitcoin, when it gets there, we'll have that verified on the blockchain. But what's happening is China's going to beat us to the Bitcoin moon. And I think that's what's going to incentivize U.S. regulators to kind of see the framework China's laying down. And maybe that's the key here is they're actually sitting back. Let China figure out all that hard work and then implement it in U.S. regulations and just kind of let it rip, because they don't want to be left behind. And it's not going to be hard to just say, copy, paste, Chinese regulations, edit here, make it fit.
This is like a reverse psychology.
Exactly.
Because everybody always says that about China, that they replicate what the U.S. has already done. So maybe the point is that reverse psychology.
It's bumper sticker.
We're getting China to do our homework for us. That's what's happening.
It's bumper sticker philosophy. It's lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way, right? In this case, we're not leading. And so at least get out of the way. But, who was it we were talking to just recently that said they believed, their prediction was that in a couple months from now, China is announcing their stable coin. They're going to roll this out, and it's going to make the U.S. go, huh? And that's what's going to spark the next crypto run.
Our Congress is just now, there's just a couple of Congress people have come out and said, oh, well, maybe we should have a digital dollar someday. They're just now discussing it, whereas China's already beginning to implement it. And to me, that's interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's very analogous to what's going on in Wyoming and the other states here in the U.S., right? Wyoming comes out with the help of Caitlin Long, enacted 13 bills. Guess what happens? Other states are now saying, wait, we're going to beat you to, Colorado comes out and says, oh, well, we're going to introduce a special purpose bank before you can, Wyoming. And so that's exactly what I'm hoping to see.
Special purpose bank. Could you maybe describe that? What does that exactly mean?
Well, basically a fiat to crypto bank.
It's an SPP. You wouldn't understand.
I wouldn't understand that. Well, that's an interesting point that you have there, because Maxine, that's sort of what BitSpark does, right? You guys are so you state that you can turn cash into crypto without banks. So how does that necessarily work with what he's talking about? And can you actually turn crypto back into cash without banks?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, the terms that are being thrown around at the later end of this year is all about fiat. But I think where BitSpark differentiates ourselves is that we're a cash fiat on and off ramp. A lot of people think that when you're talking about fiat, you're talking about the USD, centralized coins, all this type of stuff. But actually, there is a differentiation between cash and bank fiat on and off ramp and credit card fiat on and off ramp. So our segment is mostly cash fiat on and off ramp. We believe that's the best way to get anybody in the world to buy, sell, send, and exchange cryptocurrencies, and also be able to settle it in cash using stablecoins. And I'm really excited to see what will happen in the banking space, which I'll let you touch on. But for us, we've been in the industry for 5 years now, and banks do not want to touch crypto. If they are touching crypto, it is at an enormous expense. It is so expensive.
Well, Goldman Sachs did acquire Poloniex for like what, $350 million.
Well, and J.P. Morgan is creating their coin.
Yep.
Right.
And the Federal
Fargo's
Reserve has
creating their
Fed
coin.
now, so you know.
But investment banks are different.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me ask this. Why can the J.P. Morgan, and this may be for Blake, why can J.P. Morgan create their own J.P. Morgan coin, but Facebook can't create Libras because they're entrenched into the banking system already and they're like government cronies or what?
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that the government's deathly afraid of Facebook and the amount of people that they could adopt. I mean, the U.S. is concerned that Facebook's just going to create a reserve currency that's going to get used outside of the dollar more than anything else. That's what they're concerned about.
Do you
No,
think that-
Facebook can do Libra. They can totally do Libra the same way everyone else, but their investors are getting strong-armed and kind of getting like that strong pressure from the government. That's why Visa and everybody else pulled out. They were getting pressured from the government not to fund this Libra coin, but they're not stopping Libra. They can't.
Just to add to that, like basically, governments are scared of businesses, right? They're scared of like multinational businesses. Governments are not scared of banks, right? They work hand in hand. When there's
Right.
bailouts, that's coming from governments. It's not coming from anybody else. Whereas if you get, incredibly like successful tech companies making decisions, I think that's where like governments start to get scared.
Yeah. The technology we're dealing with right now cannot and will not conform to regulations that will be written today. This is not technology you can censor or stop in any means. You're going to eventually have to get rid of the ideology of what regulations really mean because the technology will go beyond that. Much like piracy, convenience has killed kind of piracy in the meantime, but now we're starting to see Disney has their own app, Marvel has their own app. I'm willing to expect a bet that you're going to see a boom in piracy as moment, when there's 7 different things I have to download to watch movies I like to watch at night. You're going to see that convenience go right back to piracy. And
So you think
that's what it's about.
we need more regulation?
I think that people need to realize that regulation really doesn't matter because the technology surpasses its ability to be enforced, and that is like same thing with prohibition of alcohol, cannabis, and everything else. I mean,
I would say this,
prostitution
though-
is legal here in the
That's
like,
true.
come on.
Well, I would say Warren G would disagree because you need to regulate.
No,
You
you
need
don't.
to
You
mount
don't
up.
agree with Warren G?
You don't need regulations. for
Regulators.
You don't need regulations
Mount
for
up.
anything. We'll
don't need that.
self-regulate much like we have already done. I mean, do you see BitConnect here today? I don't think the
BitConnect!
SEC. I don't think the SEC had anything to do with helping us with that at all whatsoever.
I
It
think
would be
Ken
really
Bosak
nice
is
to
too
see.
stoned to get that joke.
Yeah, what's up? But Maxine has something smart to say.
I really don't. I was actually going to ask how you're functioning so high.
What's your secret? Stoner secrets.
Much like Bruce Banner, I am always high.
Speaking of which, so you
Speaking of high,
You talked about this earlier, Ken, about, if you go to a dispensary, make sure to tip your bud tenders in crypto. But this is for all of you guys, even though you got both the mics.
Supply and demand.
What is the killer app for mass adoption? What is it going to be? Because, Mr. Joel Comm, and we had conversations, it could be Libra. Now Libra's getting pushed
nope,
back.
it needs to be bad coin. Everybody needs to take bad coin. Bad coin to
Yeah.
the moon.
Do a little dance. Do a little dance.
Bad
Oh,
coin,
he's
bad
shaking
coin.
his
The
Baddie.
bad
His
coin
Baddie.
Yeah, so bad coin actually has a name that is Baddie. Baddie Bad Coin. The members of the Bad Crypto Mastermind voted for the name to be Bad Toshi, but we call him Baddie.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So what do you think? Thanks for we interrupted that question with a bad coin
This-
plug.
this
this
plug
question
brought to you by-
interrupted.
I like Bad Toshi.
That's
Yeah,
good.
Bad Toshi's good.
Mass adoption. What's gonna be the killer app that does that?
I think something like what Kyle Kemper talks a lot about, even written his book, Unified Wallet. I think it's going to come down to a thing, one wallet for pretty much all your digital assets, not just your tradable tokens or, cryptocurrencies, but your, social security card, your driver's license, your insurance for your car, your house. All these things will be tokenized in a sense that you're not going to want to go to 50 different apps like they're doing with this Netflix, Hulu, all this all over again. We need a unified wallet that's going to bring all of these tokenized digital assets into
But
one place.
who does that? Is that going to be some big corporation that creates that, or is it going to be some upstart that eventually gets taken over by some big corporation. Here we go with centralization again. One app to rule them all?
Well, no, it doesn't have to be one app. It could just be a format. Like right now, there's Edge, Monarch, XYZ. There's so many apps and wallets that are existing. They could follow that framework, though, at least, right? Provide X, Y, Z.
Where they API into each other.
Exactly. It's just like the overlay, the skin. Like Wax was up here talking about skins. I have a really big feeling that we're going to see a lot of skins for wallets because you're going to see the Edge wallet, and how I want to engage with my currencies may be a lot different than how you want to engage with it. Much like my Android phone probably looks a lot different than your Android phone.
I guarantee yours does.
Right.
He's like, I feel you, man. Yeah.
One of the wallets or applications that's doing a lot under one hood is like Monarch. You know, they have a lot of partnerships with different places like Celsius.
Are you sponsored by Monarch?
I am.
you gotta say
sponsored.
Transparent, stoner.
He's wearing a Dimmy shirt.
I use that in all my videos when I'm in Uber. So I do talk to every Uber driver. I set them up with the wallet, and before we're even done the ride, they're already set up and ready to go, and I already tipped them. So it's just one of those things that you're like, well, while you're hodling, check out Celsius Network, not sponsored, just a piece of what's in there, and you can earn interest on what you hodl. You can trade in there, and you can buy and sell. And there's
You're a rideshare coin evangelist.
Yes, and that's because they're hostages of conversation. So if you're at the bar and you have a bartender, shill. It's your job. It's your responsibility to shill.
Oh, let's
shill
go back
Bitcoin.
to the moment. I want to hear Blake's thoughts on this.
Well, first of all, I'm sponsored by the Blake Rizzo Law Firm.
BlakeRizzoLawFirm.com. But you're not an ambulance chaser.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Ambulances chase Blake.
That's right, exactly. No, I think that one of the most important things that we're going to have to do is relax the accredited investor rules.
Oh, amen.
Everybody, they want to invest in companies, It'll happen. It's going to take time, right? You've got regulation crowdfunding where they've relaxed the standards. They allow non-accredited investors to participate. They just have to participate at a certain percentage of their wealth.
Right.
So, I mean...
But that is just so bogus, though. It's like, you can only, you can only be a millionaire to be able to buy EOS.
Yeah, it's stupid as hell. Just because you're smart, just because you have money doesn't mean you're smart, right? That's ridiculous. There are a ton of guys out here that are 20 years old that are smart as hell, right? They might not qualify as an accredited investor, but they know what the hell to do with their money. And so I think
I can go and buy a shitload of lottery tickets, and I can go gamble all my money right now on a stupid slot machine.
You can.
But I can't invest a little bit of money in a project.
Well, that's what we need to do is we need to stop the lottery and then reduce the accredited investor standards. So I think that's needed. As we sit here today, we don't know what the next Amazon, Facebook, Airbnb, Netflix is going to be in the crypto space. And I think that's what makes it so exciting right now.
Very cool.
For me, I think that the killer app, if you're going to be talking about something that people can use, it has to be... Sorry, they're just taking a photo. Selfie time. It has to be something that everybody in the world can use, right? So a lot of the apps that are available right now are for early adopters, right? They've gone through buying stuff through like Mt. Gox, getting their own hard wallets and all this type of stuff. But how about like the rest of the people in the world, right?
What about grandma?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, no. I disagree. I love my grandma, but I don't really care about.
Forget you, grandma.
I love my grandma. I don't really care about.
You get no crypto.
It's
Make
not
me
the
some chicken soup.
It's not the dads. It's not the grandmas of the world. It's not them. It's like people that are in emerging economies that don't have bank accounts.
Right.
Like that's where it's at. Like emerging economies is definitely for the future. And yes, like we can all kind of like, agree with one another and pat each other on the back and be like, oh, my grandma can use this. Is your grandma the future? No. Right? It's people that are in emerging economies. So I think the thing here is like the killer app is basically having, we believe at BitSpark that cash is blockchain's second layer, right? If you can facilitate cash, it means that you can service people that don't have bank accounts around the world, and that means that you can exchange their cash for a stable coin anywhere in the world without a bank account. Like that for me is where it's at. And like you said, like the unification, the reason why people don't want to buy and sell skins online is because it's not really applicable outside of a niche market. But you know what is? Cash.
Right on.
Yeah. All right.
I love that quote about grandma. That should be a card.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Grandma is in the past.
Earlier,
Make me some chicken soup.
Screw your grandma.
I love you, Grandma.
Earlier, I tweeted that Maxine looked like a badass in that jacket. Now she's talking
I
about
know.
off
She's
in
taking
grandmas.
down grandmas.
You know, you gotta watch out.
Your
Look out,
grandma's
Grandma.
over. She's in the past.
Maxine's on
Tired
you.
of your grandma's old
we,
ass.
We appreciate y'all. Like, as we wrap up here, let's ask a stupid question, purely prognosticate, get the crystal ball in. I said ask a stupid question, and Maxine immediately hands the mic to Bosak. We're raising the bar.
That's so good.
Everybody's going to get to answer this one, too. Let's go ahead and get the crystal ball out, and I want 2 predictions. We've mentioned Craig Wright now 4 times, and we haven't really mentioned Bitcoin. So, our beloved Bitcoin at a 67% market cap. We've seen it hit a high of 20,000, go to a low earlier this year. January is about 3,400. We're back to about 9,300 as of this recording. Let's make predictions for what effect will the halving have on Bitcoin. It's going to happen in May of 2020. And traditionally,
Near my birthday.
for your birthday, actually.
Is it for my birthday?
Mine
Oh,
too.
It might be your birthday too.
Cinco de Mayo.
Maybe it'll be in between our birthdays.
It'll be perfect.
It'll be like on the 11th.
Traditionally, the
May
halving,
11th.
doubling the difficulty. May 5th, buy me presents. Traditionally, the halving, the doubling difficulty to mine Bitcoin has led to a steep price increase. Blake, what do you think is going to happen, and when?
Well, I will preface this by saying that I do not trade Bitcoin at all. So
Okay.
listening to me make a prediction is basically worthless. You know,
I find most predictions to be worthless.
right.
Though.
The whole past performance does not indicate future performance. I noticed that, you know, in the past, obviously, the halvening has been very good for Bitcoin. But if you notice this year, the Litecoin halvening, you know, not much happened.
No,
So,
it was huge.
you know.
It went from 30 up to 120.
Well, but then
as
it
it
just
led up to
came
the
right
halving.
back down, you know. So, I mean, if that's what's going to happen with Bitcoin, if it's going to just, you know, ramp up and then come right back down,
Go to 30,
I don't
let
think
us all
that's
sell,
important.
drop back down
Right.
to 7.
I mean, I would rather, you know, my prediction is that, yes, there may be some increase, but I don't think it'll be long term. I'm looking for something that's going to push it up above 20 and keep it there and keep going up. You know, if the halvening just pumps it and then it comes back down, I don't really care.
But China adopting it, maybe that could. It's kind of a combination of things.
Well, China adopting it, I mean, China's going to create their own cryptocurrency and regulate the hell out of it.
Right.
That's my opinion, you know. So, I mean, it may be good overall, but, I mean, I don't know that, you know, China saying, hey, everybody can have Bitcoin is going to make a deal, because I think what's going to happen, at least in my view, China creates their own cryptocurrency and then tells everyone they can't use
Right.
Bitcoin.
I'm actually thinking, since we have more awareness in the space, a lot of more, traditional companies are a lot more educated now than they were during the ICO boom. And I think that scarcity is going to incentivize them to maybe look at this technology outside of the possibility of it being just a currency. You know, Bitcoin ain't just money. It can be, like, so can Pokemon cards. It's whatever you're willing to trade value with meets all the means of money. Bitcoin does that. It's not money. Bitcoin isn't money. But it can be, so we can use it as it. It's much more than that. It's programmable technology that can be used as a currency. This is going to be a scarcity increase, incentive increase for companies to figure out how to utilize what's left of it. I mean, we're at 18 million with about 3 to 4 million lost, gone at sea. Like, imagine a boat full of gold just being gone in the Bermuda Triangle. Bitcoin gone about 4 million, and then that's not counting the black.
That would be like over $1 trillion worth of gold or something.
Oh my goodness.
$1.5 trillion.
But then the incentive to crack that, like the incentive to build a submarine that can get down to get that gold, keeps raising, right? Quantum computing, Google's coming out with a lot of that. So I think the incentive after this halving will be to actually how to utilize the tech, utilize the blockchain, things like timestamps or domain names, really utilize that public ledger that Bitcoin has and the legacy of its blockchain.
Awesome. Let's hear what Maxine's got to say.
It's very boring, but I don't speculate, I just build.
Very nice.
There you go.
So
Very
boring, Maxine. Oh my gosh. We're gonna have you back again. We're gonna have you back in next year, so you're gonna give us another boring answer. It's gonna be awesome. Hey, give it up for our panel: Blake Rizzo, Kenn, Bosak, and Maxine Ryan. Good job, everybody.
yes.
Thank you so much, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for listening to the Bad Crypto Podcast.
Yes. And thanks to Vesa. Like,
Oh, yeah. Hey, Vesa, come on up here really quickly,
Come on up
brother.
here real quick, Vesa.
We got a minute, so let's do this. You guys can stay put a second here. Come on over here, because you're going to, if you haven't signed it yet, you're going
Have
to.
you signed that yet, Maxine?
Really quickly.
You signed it last year?
Tell people what we're looking at.
You were last year.
You're
Excellent.
looking at an
Yeah.
art piece. I'm just going to rattle off some names. I had to bring the laptop because I can't remember them all. And first of all, I'm putting you guys on top. So Joel and Travis has signed this art piece over here. So I'm just going to rattle the names. Andres Antonopoulos, Vitalik Buterin, Brock Pierce, Charlie Lee, Bobby Lee, Roger Ver, Charlie Schramm, Anthony Pompliano, Craig Wright, Jeremy Gardner, Maxine Ryan, Vinny Lingham, Vinay Gupta, Ton Weiss, Charles Hoskinson, Ronnie Mars, Didi Taihutu, Jorg Mold, Naomi Brockwell, Peter McCormack, Adam Williams, Peter Schwartz, Ben Askren, Drew Trailer, Brent Bates, Florian Kruger, Ronnie Moas, Kenneth Bosak, Trader Cobb, Mark Robinson, and Vichet Lika have signed this art piece for charity.
Very nice.
Trying to get over $1 million raised for Hawk,
Very
which has
cool.
40 years been fighting against violence towards women and girls. And it's unique. It's lightning in a bottle. If you think what this art piece is going to be in 20 years, I think it's not far to say that it's going to be a hell of a lot more than $1 million, which is the
Because
cap.
Blake's about to sign it.
Oh yeah, and Blake, we're
Hey,
going to do
Brandon.
that now. Do we
We'll
have
get
time
Brandon
to get
to
his-
sign this thing, too.
I've got a pen for him.
All right. Hey,
All right.
Brandon.
And the website for people to go to?
Artforcrypto.com.
Artforcrypto.com. Thanks, Veza. Blake Rizzo, add your mega $1 million signature. Here, you get a choice of two pens. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to the Bad Crypto Podcast. Please subscribe, badcryptopodcast.com. Stay bad.
Stay bad.
Stay bad coin. Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Who's bad?